All right, sixth grade. So we're on our second lesson of our unit, our new unit, and our last one was ratios. Today we're talking about rates. A rate is like a ratio in that it compares two quantities. The main difference is it's comparing two quantities that have different units. So what I mean by that, if you look at some of the examples I gave you in the notes, example is miles per hour. That's a common rate that we hear all the time, and it's comparing miles to hours. Now, typically, when we talk about it, it's miles per 1 hour. If I'm driving 95 miles per hour, that means if I was driving for an hour, I would go 95 miles. Some other common ones, so like for example, you guys would know is words per minute. When you guys are doing your typing, it's calculating your words per minute. That's another unit rate. Another example, dollars per pound. You go in the grocery store. Chicken is $3.99 per pound. You're paying $3.99 per pound you buy. These are all examples of rates, and more specifically, they're all examples typically of unit rates. When we talk about dollars per pound when you go in the grocery store, the price isn't it's $8.99 for 3 pounds. Typically, it's going to be $2.99 for 1 pound. Same with miles per hour. So, all right, so there's a couple examples kind of what a rate is. So we're specifically going to focus on finding unit rates today. So if you look at our first problem here, Stan drives 400 miles in 16 hours. What is Stan's unit rate? So basically we're being asked to find Stan's miles per hour. This really isn't overly challenging in that normally it just involves pretty basic division. So, but if I were to write this out, his rate right now is 400 miles per 16 hours. And a lot of time we write rates as fraction. The one unit on top of the other unit, miles over hours. And what we can do is basically it's almost like we're simplifying the fraction, but the difference is I need the denominator of the fraction to be 1. That's what a unit rate is. A unit rate has a denominator of 1. So instead of 400 miles per 16 hours, I need this to be so many miles per 1 hour. So basically I'm just dividing by 16 to make this over 1 hour, because 16 divided by 16 is 1. So over here I got to figure out I didn't write the 1, what 400 divided by 16 is. So I just got to do my long division. 400 divided by 16. 16 goes into 41 times, or 2 times, I'm sorry. 2 times 16 is 32. Subtract, I've got 8. Bring down my 0. 16 goes into 8 5 times. 5 times 16 is 80, so I'm done. So then I've got my answer, 25 miles per 1 hour. And that's one way you could give the answer. Another way is you could write just 25 mph, because miles per hour has that acronym mph, so you could write it that way too. The one thing you couldn't say, so either of those answers would be fine, you couldn't say the answer is 25 miles, because that's not a rate. A rate is comparing two different units. It needs to be miles per hour. So it would be 25 miles over 1 hour, or just 25 mph. Either of those would be acceptable. So let's look at our second one. Carla purchases 5 calculators for $130.80. What is the unit rate for the calculators? So we're going to do the same thing. We'll put 5 calculators over, I'm doing this backwards because I wasn't paying attention. This is good because you should be paying attention to this too. Whenever you're dealing with money, dollars per whatever we're talking about, the money's always going to go on the top. So it's going to be, because you want it to be dollars, in this case, per calculator, dollars per pound of meat, whatever it might be. So it's going to be $130.80 over 5 calculators. So whenever you have money, the money's always going to be on the top because it's going to be money per, in this case, calculator, money per whatever we're talking about. So for this one, we would divide, again, you always just divide by whatever the numerator is. So we're just going to divide by 5, because 5 divided by 5 is 1. So I get over 1 calculator, which is what I want, because I want to figure out what the cost of 1 calculator is. That would be the unit rate, or sometimes you might hear it called unit price, the unit price of the calculator. So we got to do that division, $130.80 divided by 5. So we're dividing with a decimal, but we're dividing by a whole number, so we don't got to move any decimals or anything like that, because we're dividing by a whole number of 5. So 5 goes into 13 2 times. Subtract, that's 10. 13 minus 10 is 3. Bring down my 0. 5 goes into 36 times. I'm going to bring my decimal point up now. 6 times 5 is 30. Subtract 0. Bring down my 8. 5 goes into 8 one time. 1 times 5 is 5. 8 minus 5 is 3. Bring down my final 0 here. 5 goes into 30 6 times. 6 times 5 is 30. Good, we're done. Nothing extended past that. So we end up getting $26.16 for one calculator. So you can give your answer like that. You could write out $26.16 per calculator. So if you wrote your answer like this, that would be fine as well. So however you want to give it, but the important thing to remember is both the dollar sign and calculator needs to be in there because it's a unit rate. So it's a rate, so we're comparing two things, in this case dollars and calculators. All right, so that's examples 1 and the example 2. That's the first 2 problems for the example. I got another example coming with 2 more problems, so watch that video as well.